YouTube, what's going on? Your boy Young Mustard is back with another video, and today I am here to talk about the one and only, of course, LeBron James. King James himself has had a remarkable season this year, leading the league in minutes, playing so many minutes, still in his 15th year at the age of 33, and still picking up the monster numbers that he puts up year by year by year, averaging 28 points per game, 9 assists and 9 rebounds, while shooting 54% from the field and 37% from 3. This is a guy who has played the most minutes that anybody has ever played at this point in their career, leading the league in minutes, by the way, doing so much, having to carry such a load when so many inconsistent pieces are around him, such as Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood, Larry Nance, even Kevin Love at times, and LeBron James has showed up and continued to ball. Now, the finals right now is a different story because a lot of things are going on, but I am here to talk about LeBron James' career as a whole in its totality, and I want to ask the question, what is the best version of LeBron James that we have ever seen throughout his career? Now, I am not going to include this year because this year is not done, even though, arguably it won't change no matter what happens, the best version of him. But I just don't think that this year is the best version that we've ever seen of LeBron, honestly. So I'm just not going to include this year. But I will be including 3 years of the 3 phases of his career. Obviously, the first phase being his first stint in Cleveland after he was drafted by the Cavaliers, the second stint being those 4 years in Miami, and the third phase being the second part of his second run in Cleveland. Now, the seasons that I will be picking are the 2009-2010 season when he was in Cleveland the first time, the 2012-2013 season when he was in Miami, and also the 2015-16 season when he was in Cleveland. Now, without further ado, let's look at the 2010 NBA season for that of LeBron James. In the 2010 NBA season, LeBron James was coming off of his first MVP year the year prior in 2009, where he put up remarkable numbers, averaging 28 points, 7 assists, and 8 rebounds, while shooting around 48 to 49% from the field and 34% from 3, which was a career high at the time in his career. But in the 2010 season, LeBron James turned it another gear as he carried a roster that didn't have the greatest pieces around him, obviously, as they had a fat old Shaquille O'Neal on the roster, making more money than LeBron James, by the way, and LeBron James basically had to carry that roster, as in 2010 LeBron James averaged just under 30 points per game, basically 30 points per game, 9 assists and 7 rebounds, while shooting a career high in his field goal percentage at flat basically 50% from the field. His 3-point percentage did dip to 33%, but his free throw percentage was pretty solid and respectable at around 77% from the free throw line. So LeBron James in all aspects of the basketball, as he always does, filled up the stat sheet. LeBron James was a monster, and in the playoffs, LeBron James balled as well, as we all do know that the Boston series in the last 3 games, he didn't perform that well, but when you consider what he did in the first 3 games and how he pushed that Boston Celtics team, it was remarkable, as in the first 3 games of the Boston Celtics series, he averaged 32 points, 6 assists and 7 rebounds, as well as 2 steals and 2 blocks, also shooting 54% from the field and around 38 to 39% from 3. LeBron James was an All-NBA defender, performing at an elite level as he made the first team All-NBA defensive team, and LeBron James was just one of those players that could go out there night after night and put up at least 30 points a game, because that's what he was doing, give you 7 assists and 6 rebounds. Also, he could go out there and defend the best perimeter player, and for the most part, he would do a great job. I suggest that you go look at Paul Pierce's averages during the series in 2010 against LeBron James in the playoffs. He did not shoot well at all from the field. And when it comes to LeBron James, I think that that's another thing is very undervalued of his career, and especially of the beginning of his career. He didn't have a great coach, didn't have a great system around him, didn't have really that many great players to play with, and he was able to consistently go out there and score at an elite level and play defense at an elite level and basically coach himself. That is one of the most underrated things about LeBron James, and it is one of the most things that we take for granted of LeBron. One of the greatest players that we have ever seen, and he was great from a young age, and this was a year that he won the MVP, by the way, because the year prior he did win the MVP in 2009, and he came back and did the exact same thing. Though he did fall to the Boston Celtics, that Boston Celtics team ended up winning the finals, so I don't think it's as big as a deal as some people like Skip Bayless would make it seem. So when it comes to 2010, LeBron James was a phenomenal player, All-NBA defender, great defender, was a great offensive player, clearly, great facilitator, solid rebounder, and he just did his thing in the moments that you really needed him. Now for the next year that we're going to discuss, we are going to discuss the 2013 season of LeBron James, because LeBron James in the 2013 season was a man on a mission that I have just honestly never seen before in his career. Because LeBron James that season, after winning his first championship in 2012, numerous people were criticizing him, saying the Thunder team was not ready for LeBron James. They're a baby team. This year is not going to be the year that LeBron, shows the world that he's a great player, because a lot of people were looking at him and saying, you didn't do much. You just beat a team that was not ready to even be in the finals. They got lucky by beating the Spurs. So what did he do? He responded like LeBron James usually does. In the 2013 season, he averaged 27 points, 8 rebounds and 7 assists, as well as 2 steals and 1 block, while shooting 56 to 57% from the field, and shot a career high that he has still not matched to this day at just under 41% from the three-point line. This man was unstoppable. When I tell you, I would turn on my TV screen and I would literally tell my friends, bro, how can somebody stop this man? And the thing that's so crazy is that LeBron James this year, though he did win the MVP, this is one of the years that a lot of people say it should have been unanimous. And I agree with that decision. It should have been unanimous. LeBron James, there should not have been a single first place vote for anybody. And the guy who voted for Carmelo Anthony, screw you. You do not deserve to be a voter anymore. And I know he's still probably a voter. Screw that man. You probably voted for Isaiah Thomas to be on the All-NBA defensive team. That's a topic for another day. But when it comes to LeBron James in the 2013 season, he was a man amongst boys every single time that he stepped on the court. And not only was he great on the offensive side of the ball, but on the defensive side of the ball, he was just as phenomenal, if not greater, because he played that at an elite level and one of the best levels that we've ever seen from any player throughout NBA history. And if it were not for Marc Gasol playing that rim protector role and playing a defensive role that was phenomenal as well, LeBron James most likely would have won and should have won the Defensive Player of the Year that year, as he was second in Defensive Player of the Year voting. And I believe LeBron James has even come out and said he was aiming for that Defensive Player of the Year that year, as that would have been a phenomenal year to say the least, as he won the MVP and he would go off in the playoffs just as much, because people forget that in the playoffs he was just as phenomenal, not just in the Spurs series, but in the Indiana series as well. As leading up to the Spurs series, if you exclude the Spurs series from his entire playoffs, LeBron James averaged 26.6 assists and 7 rebounds, as well as 2 steals and a block, while shooting 51% from the field and 39% from 3, and also 77% from the free throw line. In the San Antonio series, though I know people say that Ray Allen saved his legacy, which is stupid as a whole, LeBron James responded, because they were down 3-2 in the series, and in Game 6, he dropped 16 points in the fourth quarter to bring them back and help them win that game. And people forget that before Ray Allen even hit that shot, LeBron James also hit a shot in the possession before. And LeBron James was phenomenal. And throughout that series, LeBron James was just completely unstoppable, as he averaged 25.7 assists and 11 rebounds, and also shooting 35% from 3 and just under basically 80% from the free throw line. And in the closeout game, LeBron James had one of his best and one of the most phenomenal games and one of the most overlooked games in his entire career, as in Game 7 of the 2013 NBA Finals, he had 37 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, while shooting 52% from the field, 50% from 3, and 100% from the free throw line. And get this, for all the fans who are saying he probably only took 2 free throws, no, he made 8 out of his 8 free throws, so I don't even want to hear that crap. LeBron James closed and sealed the deal and proved once and for all, and disproved this stupid notion that he's not clutch, because he came through in that moment. Just because he didn't hit some buzzer beater or some game winner like Kobe or Michael Jordan, that doesn't mean he wasn't clutch in this situation. He showed up when his team needed him, and that's the definition of clutch: executing when your team needs you the most. And LeBron James showed that not only throughout that game or throughout that series, but throughout that whole entire season. One of the greatest years of his career. which leads into the third and final version of LeBron that I will talk about, the 2016 season. Now, for those who don't know, going into this season, a lot of people were putting a lot of expectations on the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the NBA Finals, and for them to not have an excuse, or should I say LeBron to not have an excuse for losing, because now he had his supporting pieces in Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. But on the other side of the West, the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry were taking over, the team that had beat him in the finals the year prior. They won 73 games and only lost 9 games, breaking the record of the 96 Bulls that went 72-10. And Steph Curry was the first ever unanimous MVP, which should have been LeBron, let's just be honest. Actually, should have been a lot of players, but LeBron most definitely should have won it in 2013, but I digress. And when it comes to that team, a lot of people were basically declaring them as the obvious favorites to win that year in the NBA Finals. But LeBron James, honestly, even though they were the favorites, he had no excuse to not win in the finals. As in the year prior, he took that exact team. Even though a lot of people could say they got better with chemistry, he still took that team to 6 games. Even though Kyrie Irving did not play in that series, I know he played game 1, but let's be real, he didn't really play. Let's just call it what it is. And Kevin Love was out as well, his 3rd best player. And he took that team when his 2nd best player was Matthew Dellavedova, Timofey Mozgov, even J.R. Smith and Shumpert. He took that roster to 6 games with a supporting cast that was clearly lackluster. So when it comes to LeBron James, he had no excuses. And in the regular season, of course, he put up his typical numbers, you know, just the basic things that LeBron James does. And it's crazy that I can just say this is just typical. I mean, that's how phenomenal LeBron James as a player and as a talent is. As in that season, he just averaged 25 points per game, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, while shooting around 52% from the field. He actually shot one of his worst years from the three-point line, as he shot below 31% from 3. And when it comes to LeBron James in the playoffs though, he balled, because I'm not going to really discuss Detroit. Let's be real, they had no shot. He swept that team, bottom line. But when it comes to what he did in Atlanta, LeBron James, he dominated them. As in that series, he averaged 24 points, 8 assists, and 9 rebounds, while also grabbing 3 steals and just under a block, while shooting 51% from the field, 42% from 3. And if you look at Paul Millsap's numbers, I highly suggest you go and do that. He shut Paul Millsap down throughout that whole entire series. And that's one of the smartest things that LeBron James ever done throughout his career, as he knew going on in the latter part of his career, he wouldn't be able to keep up with players consistently throughout games and throughout series. So he knew that in the 4th quarter, he would just take the best perimeter and sometimes paint and big man player if he's able to do it. He's not going to go out there do it on someone like Joel Embiid, but if it's someone like Paul Millsap, he's willing to go on them in the 4th quarter to defend that opposing player. And we also forget that he swept that team, a team that nearly won 50 games, swept them like it was nothing. And then the next series against Toronto, we all know Toronto Raptors, they're really nothing to LeBron James, as he averaged 26 points, 7 assists, and 9 rebounds, while shooting a ridiculous, and I mean a ridiculous field goal percentage of 62%. And honestly, I'm not going to spend time to discuss the Raptors, because we all know they're not even Toronto no more. They're LeBronto. And when it comes to the thing that I want to discuss of this season, you have to go to no further than the Golden State Warriors versus the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA Finals of 2016. Because this was the matchup of all matchups. LeBron James' greatest accomplishment. He had promised Cleveland a championship. The year prior, he failed without a supporting cast, gets them back, and goes up against the great dynasty known as the Golden State Warriors, that if they had won this series, which probably should have probably been over in 5 games, for being honest, this team would have been declared the greatest team in NBA history. But LeBron James proved why he is one of the greatest players in NBA history, as though in the first 4 games, a lot of people will point to his averages and say he was not the problem, as he averaged 25 points, 8 assists, and 11 rebounds, as well as 2 steals, 2 blocks, shot 48% from the field. People would say those averages aren't bad, but the problem is that I see with LeBron James in a lot of the late game situations where he's getting blown out and stuff, people will look at his numbers in the box score, primarily the points, rebounds, and assists, but they will forget that a lot of the points and rebounds he grabs in these blowout games, such as 2014 against the Spurs in the finals, he stat pads a lot. He does put a lot of points in garbage time, gets a lot of meaningless rebounds that really mean nothing, and they're getting blown out, so it really doesn't matter. But I will not excuse what he did in the next 3 games, because in the next 3 games, he just went ridiculous. He went ballistic in ways I cannot even fathom, because in the next 3 games, being down 3-1 against a 73-win team, the greatest winning team of the regular season, he averaged 36 points, 10 assists, 12 rebounds, while shooting just under 51% from the field, 42% from 3, and also 3 steals and 3 blocks. He only turned the ball over under 3 times a game. A guy who has the ball that many times, I mean, it's phenomenal how great he was in the last 3 games of the series. And the closeout game became the 2nd player in NBA history to have a triple-double with 27 points, 11 assists, and 11 rebounds. And though his field goal percentage wasn't great, if you look at everybody's field goal percentage, it was not great at all. And we all remember the moments that he had. We remember the blocks that he had on Andre Iguodala, which led to Kyrie's shot. And people forget that free throw that iced the game. LeBron James throughout his career has been a player that has been afraid to actually be aggressive in late game situations because he cannot make free throws at a good and comfortable level. But he went to the free throw line, and though he did miss the first one, he nailed the second one, which iced the game and put them up by 4. LeBron James has to be given credit for that. And by the way, side note, Draymond, you're lucky he missed that dunk. You're super lucky. But when it comes to this year of LeBron James, not only did he defeat the 73-9 Golden State Warriors, which is one of the greatest teams in NBA history and would have been anointed probably the greatest team in NBA history had they won this series, LeBron James won the championship for the city of Cleveland, and honestly, it means more than the 2 championships that he won in Miami combined. And LeBron James brought the title back to Cleveland, Ohio, the title that they have been needing for that city for years and decades. I mean, just a city of just trash when it comes to sports, but I digress. Despite LeBron James' failures and his mishaps in the playoffs and in the finals at times, LeBron James proved why this is one of the greatest performances and one of the greatest performers that we have ever seen in NBA history. Now here comes the question: which year did we see the best version of LeBron? Now, when it comes to storyline and greatness, of course, 2016 with what he did in the finals. But if we're talking about the individual talent and what was the best version that I think that we have ever seen of LeBron James, I have to go with 2013. As LeBron James, not only was he great on the offensive side of the ball, but people forget he was playing defense at an elite level. I know that LeBron James in his later years developed a more consistent 3-point shot, but no matter how consistent that shot had got, LeBron James has not beaten the 3-point level that he was in 2013. I mean, he shot nearly 41% from 3. LeBron James that year was just a man on a mission, and he wanted to prove why the year before was not a fluke against OKC. And he went out there against San Antonio, dropped 16 in the fourth, and also closed out the deal with 37 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 assists, while shooting 52% from the field, 50% from 3, and 100% from the free throw line. He balled in the closeout game, balled in the series, balled in the season, and on the defensive side of the ball, only one man was better than him, and that was Marc Gasol. And if it wasn't for that, he would have won Defensive Player of the Year, as he was second in that race. So when it comes to LeBron James in the 2013 season, I have to say it's the best version of LeBron that I have ever seen. And if you wanted me to pick which LeBron do I want to play on my team and my all-star team and my dream team, I'm picking the 2013 version of LeBron James. So you guys let me know if you agree or disagree with me in the comment section. Do you think that that is the best version of LeBron, or do you think a different year that I didn't even mention is the best year and best version of LeBron? Y'all let me know in the comment section. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Follow me on my social media links, especially Twitter. The link for that will be down below. Have a great day. Peace.